You know what nobody wants to say? The Senate map just quietly shifted under the Republican Party's feet, and most of Washington hasn't caught up yet.
The Cook Political Report moved 4 ratings on June 11th, all 4 in Democrats' favor. That's not noise, that's a trend.
Alaska, Ohio, North Carolina, Iowa. Republicans are defending 23 of the 35 seats up this cycle, and they need Democrats to need 4 seats. That's the math, and the map is not being cooperative.
Iowa shifted on June 2nd. R+13 state, no incumbent. Cook dropped it from likely to lean Republican. That should not be happening.
Should not, but here we are.
And then you've got Maine, Susan Collins, a 9-point deficit in one poll, the money pouring in from both sides.
9 points in Maine. Susan Collins, who has survived everything. That race may end up being the one that decides who controls the chamber.
It's a competitive map now, and that matters regardless of where you come down on the candidates.
Reagan's job is to keep me from oversimplifying. Mine is to keep this from becoming a policy seminar.
We've got a good balance today.
We're going to walk through the toss-up states, the North Carolina problem the Republicans made themselves, the Maine money race, and then zoom out on what the full map actually means, because the meta story here is the one the Republican Party should be losing sleep over.
The Senate overview is where we start. Let's get that structural picture right before we pull apart individual races.
53 to 47, 4 seats. That's the whole equation. We're going to make it make sense right now. Before we get started, a quick reminder, we love hearing from you. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, head to the link in the description and submit your question. We read every single one. Short pause.
Short pause.
35 seats on the table, Republicans defending 22 of them, and the map just moved, fast and quiet. Cook Political Report dropped 2 ratings changes on June 11th. Alaska and Ohio both flipped from lean Republican to toss-up. Same day, North Carolina moved the other direction, toss-up to lean Democrat.
So 3 states in one day, that's not a ripple, Rush, that's a wave.
And you know what most of conservative media is doing with this? Sitting on it, quietly. Nobody wants to say the map is in trouble when there's 5 months to go.
The math is worth actually laying out. Democrats currently hold 47 seats. They need a net gain of 4 to take the majority. Republicans are defending 22 of those 35 seats up. That's the structural disadvantage.
And the thing is, NPR ran a piece back in May flagging that the national environment is a difficult one for Republicans. Trump's approval numbers are down, the economy's still soft, and that headwind is nationalized. It hits every Republican on the map.
Now, here's where I push back slightly. A bad environment for the president's party in June doesn't automatically translate to seats flipping. These ratings are snapshots, June 11th snapshots.
Fair, but you don't get 3 Cook changes in a single day unless something real shifted. That's not a forecaster being cautious. That's a forecaster saying, we can no longer call this lean Republican with a straight face.
Agreed, and the money is confirming it. Maine alone, ad impact tracked over $53 million in primary ad spending. The general election is already tracking toward a record.
$53 million in the primary for a state with 1.5 million people. Someone is very, very nervous.
2 of them moved the same day, same forecaster, same direction. What do Alaska and Ohio actually have in common that got them here?
So, Ohio and Alaska, 2 Republican incumbents, 2 states Trump carried by double digits, now in toss-up territory. Deadpan. Welcome to the "you voted wrong once" penalty.
Rush, slow down a second. Husted in Ohio was appointed, not elected. He's never run statewide on his own. That's not nothing.
That's actually worse. The guy hasn't proven he can win, and the Democrats brought back Sheridan Brown. You know what I call that? The zombie comeback tour.
Look, Brown lost by under 4 points in 2024, while Trump winning Ohio by 11. That margin matters.
Exactly right. And Alaska, Trump won by 13 points. Dan Sullivan's in there, and Mary Peltola, who lost her House seat in 2024, is now polling ahead of him?
Peltola lost around 2 points in Alaska, even in a bad year for Democrats nationally, so she's not a long shot by any measure.
Right. So we've got 2 senators defending states that Trump absolutely won, big, and they're in a coin flip. Sullivan's just sort of hanging on, hoping nobody shows up.
I'd pump the brakes a little. Alaska survey research has Peltola up 5 points in recent polling. That's real. But Sullivan hasn't cracked 44% support. That's the actual alarm bell, not just the forecaster label.
And the Ohio special election wrinkle. J.D. Vance leaves for the vice presidency.
Right.
Husted gets appointed. Now he's defending a seat he never actually won. 2 races in 1, basically.
That said, the national environment is doing more damage here than any single vote. These aren't ideologically weak incumbents. They're incumbents caught in a headwind.
Which is what makes North Carolina so different. No incumbent, just a wide-open seat, and the candidate quality gap is doing all the damage by itself.
And that's the race where the numbers have gotten genuinely lopsided.
Now flip that on its head. Ohio and Alaska, competitive because Republicans got caught flat-footed. North Carolina's different. This one's a candidate quality problem, and the GOP put it there themselves.
NPR had a piece on this. Tom Tillis voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and the next day he announced he wasn't running for re-election. Open seat, no incumbent advantage. That's a gift Republicans handed Democrats.
And then what does the party do with that gift? They hand the nomination to Michael Whatley. Deadpan, the invisible man, former RNC chair, never run for office a day in his life. Trump endorsed him. He won the primary with 64.6%. Done.
Rush, Whatley's not a bad candidate because of MAGA loyalty. He's underperforming because Cooper is genuinely exceptional statewide. 6 wins as governor and attorney general, 5 of them in years Trump carried North Carolina. That's not environment. That's a specific person voters already trust.
No, I take both. Cooper's strong, and the Republican Party chose a guy over half of North Carolina has never heard of. The Carolina Journal poll has 52% of voters never heard of Whatley or no opinion. 52%. Cooper's sitting at 11 points up.
That name recognition gap is the real story. Cooper's favorability is nearly 50%. Whatley's favorable rating, 25%. And that's with virtually 0 general election advertising aired yet.
But don't worry, a Republican super PAC committed $71 million to close that gap, so there's that.
Dryly, $71 million to introduce a candidate who ran the RNC but couldn't introduce himself to his own state. That's the assignment.
Sabato's crystal ball moved North Carolina from toss-up to leans Democratic in June. Cook had already done it back in April. Both forecasters now call this a Democratic lean. And you know what nobody wants to say? On a map where Democrats need 4 seats, this one might already be in the bag.
I'd pump the brakes slightly. Democrats haven't won a Senate race here since 2008. The structural lean in presidential years is real. But if the environment holds and Cooper stays disciplined, yeah, this is their best shot on the entire map.
Which makes what's coming next almost absurd by comparison. Iowa, R+13 territory. Democrats have no business being competitive there. And yet,
here we are.
Now, from North Carolina to somewhere nobody on the right saw coming, Iowa. R+13. Trump won it by 13 points in 2024.
And Democrats haven't won an Iowa Senate seat since 2008.
Right. So explain to me how Cook Political just dropped Iowa from likely Republican to lean Republican on June 2nd. Somebody's going to have to answer for that.
Look, it's a combination of things. Joni Ernst is retiring, no incumbent, open seat. The governor's race is open too, and the national headwinds on tariffs and the Iran conflict are hitting Iowa farmers directly.
Iowa farmers, the people Republicans literally need most. Hinson herself was caught on tape in May saying the Iran war would be a, quote, political liability if it dragged on.
Wow.
That's your own candidate.
She won the primary with 74% of the vote. Trump's endorsement, strong fundraising. On paper, she's solid.
On paper, Josh Turek won the Democratic primary with 63%, and the Senate Leadership Fund immediately announced $29 million in ad reservations. $29 million in Iowa.
That number tells you everything. If Republicans were comfortable, they don't spend $29 million in a state they're supposed to own.
Someone in a very expensive office panicked.
What makes it structurally interesting, and this is the part forecasters are flagging, is the resource competition. Governor's race is open, multiple competitive House seats. Iowa's Republican ground operation is being pulled in 4 directions at once.
And you know what nobody wants to say? The people who spent 6 months calling Iowa a free win are now dropping $29 million not to lose it.
Right.
That's not confidence.
Still leans Republican. R+13 is real, but the gap is narrowing in a state the GOP cannot afford to play defense in.
All right, Iowa is the canary. If it gets tight, the map gets uncomfortable very fast. But if you want uncomfortable, Maine is where this whole story comes to a head. Susan Collins and a candidate Democrats did not expect to have.
From Iowa to Maine, and Maine is the marquee. Graham Plattner, 41 years old, oyster farmer, combat vet, won the Democratic primary June 9th with 72% of the vote after Governor Mills suspended her campaign in April.
Wow.
On paper, this guy is built for this moment.
On paper, the NRSC put out a memo warning it would be a, and I'm paraphrasing, a fatal mistake to assume Plattner is too damaged to win. That's a warning from the Republican side about their own vulnerability.
Which tells you everything. You don't write that memo if you feel good. But let me tell you something. I am looking at this guy's file and asking myself how Democrats stare at a tattoo that resembles a Nazi SS symbol, Reddit posts mocking a wounded soldier, explicit texts his own wife flagged to the campaign, and say, yeah, that's our firewall.
Rush, the polling doesn't care about your discomfort or mine. UMass Lowell had Plattner up 5 points over Collins as of June 4th. The Hill survey had him up 9. Collins's favorable rating is sitting at -9 in the most recent data.
She's been at -9 before and won by 9 points in 2020.
Absolutely right. Maine voters split tickets. They did it for Collins in 2020 when Biden carried the state. The structural environment in 2026 is worse for Republicans than it was then.
Wait. How much money are we talking in this race?
Outside groups alone, according to Ad Impact, Republicans have reserved roughly $99 million in advertising for Collins, Democrats about $44 million on the other side.
$99 million to defend a seat they've held for 30 years? That is not confidence. That is controlled panic.
And Plattner outraised Collins directly, $16.3 million to her $15.1 million. So he's not short on fuel either. The Bangor Daily News reported that figure.
The controversy candidate is outraising a 5-term incumbent. You know what nobody wants to say? This race is genuinely up for grabs, and everything we've seen today, Ohio, Alaska, North Carolina, Iowa, now Maine, it's not isolated. It's a pattern.
Which raises the bigger question, is this pattern showing up across all the forecasting models, or is Maine a one-off? The prediction markets have something to say about that.
So let's step back. Forget the individual races for a second. What's the whole board actually saying right now?
The board is saying Republicans are on defense. 23 seats up, Democrats only defending 13. That asymmetry matters.
We all know what's really happening here. The prediction markets aren't lying. Polymarket is sitting around 43% odds of a Democratic sweep as of today. That number was a punchline 12 months ago.
And Race to the White House's model moved in the same direction. After April fundraising data dropped, Democrats improved their odds specifically in Alaska, Georgia, and New Hampshire. Real money, real signal.
Republicans gained ground in Florida and Montana, so it's not all bad news, but you're playing whack-a-mole with a map that keeps expanding.
The structural piece nobody wants to say out loud. The party out of the White House historically gains Senate seats in midterms. That headwind exists regardless of candidate quality, regardless of state-by-state ratings.
And NPR put it plainly, the national environment is a difficult one for Republicans right now. Approval ratings underwater, economic sentiment negative, that environment seeps into every race on this map.
Which is why the forecasters moved 3 races simultaneously on June 11th. Not 1, 3. Alaska, Ohio, and North Carolina in the same week.
Cook calls it toss-up, markets call it competitive. I call it a situation where Republicans need everything to go right and Democrats only need a few things to break their way.
And Democrats still need to sweep. Cook's consensus note said they'd have to win all the toss-ups to get the majority. Republicans remain the overall favorite, barely.
Barely, that's the word. This was supposed to be a comfortable hold. The map does not look comfortable, and that, frankly, is the whole story of the last 6 months on the Republican side. So with all that in mind, what do Republicans actually have to do between now and November?
Candidate performance, full stop. The environment is genuinely difficult, Rush. NPR reported it. Trump's approval has been underwater. Democrats have the enthusiasm edge. Those are facts. But the one variable Republicans can control is how their nominees run.
And that is exactly the problem in several of these states, isn't it? You've got nominees who are running behind where a generic Republican would land. That's not the environment doing that. That's candidate quality.
Right, and you can't fix a bad nominee in October.
Now, Collins, I want to address this directly. Yes, Morning Consult has her net favorability at -9. Yes, independents in Maine are not happy with her. But you know what else is true? She outran Trump by nearly 7 points in 2020 when everybody said she was cooked. Every poll had Gideon winning.
That's fair, and it's worth taking seriously. She's the only Republican senator running in a state Harris carried. That's a structural disadvantage, but she has operated in hostile terrain before.
Prediction markets are not ballots. Someone remind the forecasters of that.
I'll send a memo.
The 4-seat math is real. Democrats need Maine, North Carolina, Ohio, or Alaska, and then a miracle somewhere like Iowa. That's a lot of simultaneous wins.
It is, and the NPR Marist poll showed 61% of Democrats are very enthusiastic to vote versus 53% of Republicans. That enthusiasm gap is real, and Republicans cannot wish it away.
Acknowledged, but June ratings don't win elections. November ballots do. Republicans still hold 53 seats. The structural majority is intact. What happens between now and the fall, candidate execution, GTV, the economic environment, that's what matters.
The lesson I take out of all of this, don't hand a seat away in a primary. The map is hard enough without nominating candidates who start 10 points behind where they should be.
You know what nobody wants to say? The map shifted fast. Republicans know it. That's why the money is moving. The question is whether the candidates catch up. 5 months is a long time, but it is not infinite. Look, we covered a lot of ground today. The Cook rating shift, the zombie comeback tour, Sullivan's polling ceiling in Alaska. But here's where I land. Republicans are not watching this map closely enough.
And that's the real takeaway. June forecasts are snapshots, not verdicts. But snapshots can become trends fast when candidate quality is the underlying problem.
North Carolina is the clearest proof of that. Michael Whatley isn't losing because of the environment. He's losing because Roy Cooper has won statewide 6 times.
Candidate quality is structural. You can't add by your way out of it, and that Iowa reservation signals someone knows it.
Someone definitely knows it.
Absolutely.
If today's breakdown helped you think through what's actually happening on this map, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and tell somebody who needs to hear it. New episodes every weekday.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Stay sharp.